Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing our monthly money chat in a much different setting. I have some crazy stuff going on right now, lots of changes. Next month's money update is going to be drastically different from this month, but today we're going to be talking about our March money moves, everything that happened regarding our finances, our income, expenses, our budget, and our net worth as always. So without further ado, let's jump right in. The one big change about today's video, besides the environment I'm filming in, sorry if it's echoey, is that my YNAB account has officially ended. Our subscription was 1 year long and it was about to renew just the beginning of April. And since I don't have a lot of consistent income right now and my husband is taking off time from work to study for the MCAT, I decided it didn't make sense for us to renew for another $100. That just is a huge expense right now that we can't incur, and I had not saved up because we've been needing to use our money elsewhere. So right before my subscription ended, I took some screenshots. So instead of going through this interactively, it's going to be a much more chatty video where I just kind of explain things that happened, and then I will show you guys my YNAB as always, just in screenshot form this time, so bear with me. Next month, I'm going to be showing you my completely updated budgeting system. My plan is to make a fully free system through Notion that meets the most important needs that YNAB helped me with in terms of budgeting and tracking my income and expenses. And the biggest change I want to implement that I think is actually going to end up being super beneficial, who knows, maybe I'll never go to YNAB again, is that I want to incorporate a way for me to track all of my business expenses by quarter and automatically estimate the quarterly taxes I need to pay at the end of each of the quarters in 2022. This is something that YNAB can't do and why a lot of people use applications like QuickBooks. But since currently my budget and my business expenses are pretty much one and the same right now, I would like a way to just do that all in one. So as always though, we're going to start with our February net worth. So this is what our net worth looked like at the end of February. It was $22,381. And as always, that's including all of our checkings accounts, savings accounts, retirement accounts, and investment funds. Next, we're going to look at our March income. Our March income is definitely different from our February and previous month's income. The main reason is I started freelancing for the first time starting in March. So you'll see on there, I got my first freelance paycheck for $140. And for those of you who don't know, long story short, I started a digital marketing agency with my friend Julie, and she had some current contracts going on that she has pulled me onto. So she's been paying me on an hourly rate for the contracts she already had. That is why I have about $140, which was for 7 hours of work, because she's paying me at $20 an hour currently. Then you'll see I have Get Upside for $10. So Get Upside is a cashback savings app to get cashback on gas. I'll have a link for it in my description so you can get an extra bonus, like 30 cents per gallon, something to that effect, back the first time you get gas using the app. But I really love it. I'm almost at a $20 payout and I've already got $10 out. So that's going to be $30 back in cash savings from just using the app and buying gas as I normally do, as well as I can look around me while I'm doing that to find the cheapest price. So not only am I getting cash back, I'm also picking the cheapest price that I can. Next on the list, we have gift money. So my mom very kindly gave us $100 to help with our moving expenses because, long story short, our move got really delayed because of some issues with the movers that we hired, and we had to end up staying in a hotel overnight on the way back down from DC with like all of our stuff in a U-Haul trailer. So we were very much being cheap and didn't want to stay in a hotel. And my mom was like, please stop and sleep in a hotel. I don't want you guys driving the complete way through the night. So she basically forced us to sleep in a hotel by paying us the money to get one, which was really nice. And honestly, it was much needed. I'm so glad we stayed in a hotel that night. I think we would have lost it if we tried to drive through the night. The next one is Rover. So I did get $92.80 from Rover. So a piece of that and a pretty big chunk of that was actually from a job that I completed at the end of February while I was still in Washington, DC. And then a small piece of that, I think like $30, was for my first job and only job I've had since moving to Florida. So I know a lot of you have been asking how Rover has been and if I've been able to get new clients. The short answer is it's all right. Florida pays a lot less for Rover, mainly because the cost of living here is much lower than DC, of course. So because of that, the visit rate is much lower. So I've had to lower my rates since moving down here, as well as the area I live right now isn't like highly populated like DC. I'm not in the Orlando metro area yet, so I'm not getting a ton of clients right now. Again, I only had one, so not a lot. I also have not been pushing for clients though. Usually with Rover, if I can like go in and say that my calendar is up to date for the next 2 weeks, it does push you up in search, but I have not been doing that because I've not been prioritizing Rover. Reason is my freelance work has been going off lately and I've been extremely busy, and we're not paying rent right now, so I'm not like strapped for cash to the extent I was last month. And then we have Venmo, $1, which is basically a prank. My friend sent me $1 as a joke, so that's that. And all of that totals to a whopping $343.80. So great high salary, am I right? Guys, today's not my day. My camera is dying. I have you on the charger, and we're gonna finish this video because I insist on getting this information out. So now that we know what my monthly income was, which it was not high at all, we're gonna look at our monthly spending, which definitely outperformed the average we've had for the past few months. So our spending in March was $3,595. I'm not happy about that spending, but the reality is a lot of that is gas and moving expenses. So you'll see our immediate obligations are about $1,600, which as always accounts for rent, utilities, internet, things like that, anything that is required that we pay a bill for during the month. Next, we have business expenses. So I haven't even mentioned this part. At the end of March, I had a very unforeseen circumstance happen to me. Sadly, my laptop decided to break. I've had the laptop I had for a very long time. I got it right before I went to college, so like 6 years ago, and it's had issues in the past. I got it completely water damaged before. I fully replaced the logic board myself like 2.5 years ago, and it has somehow still worked this entire time and allowed me to run Final Cut Pro and make videos and do all sorts of stuff. I've been very lucky and I'm grateful that it has lasted this long. The reason why this is so ironic is one of the main things I said when I was moving to Florida was the only thing I'm certain of is that my laptop cannot break because that's going to screw me financially. And then what happened? My laptop broke. So the positive side of this is I actually, weirdly enough, had exactly enough money in credit card reward points to get my laptop completely for free. Now, the reason this is still showing up as an expense is because the charge is still going to go on my credit card. I'm just going to have to cash out my reward points to pay the statement off next month. So in my next monthly money chat, you're going to see that I made a lot more money, mainly because I'm going to literally cash out like $1,300 worth of credit card points. So it's, you know, a positive and a negative. Like, I'm really sad my laptop broke and I had to use the points for that. But at the same time, once I realized I had those points, I'd been telling myself that they were really just an emergency fund that I could use if anything bad happened during this period of time since quitting my job until I'm like back to a consistent salary. So the thing that I dreaded most happened, but I luckily had the exact number of points I needed to cover it. So yeah, it is what it is. And I've been actually really enjoying my new laptop and I'm very grateful because it's actually made my workflow like way faster. My old laptop was definitely really slow and I was having a lot of issues with my external hard drive and Final Cut Pro running slow and it was making a lot of noise. Now it is super fast, super easy to use, and my videos export in like half the time. So, you know, time is money, right? Next, we have quality of life goals at $350. I'm pretty sure what this mainly accounts for is moving expenses and then potentially some MCAT related fees that Oliver had to pay for. So when we look at the budget section, we'll get a full breakdown of that. Then we have just for fun at about $260, and I'm sure that's mainly just eating out while we were driving to and from Florida so many times to move from DC. And then true expenses at $73, which I have no clue what that is, so we'll see it in the budget portion. All right, let's jump into our budget. The main thing I see here when we look at the immediate obligation section, when I saw that I spent about $1,600, my guess was that the majority of that was on rent because my rent usually is about $1,650. But I forgot that the last month that we lived in our apartment, it was only like a prorated like 3 or 4 days of rent. So we actually only paid about like $200 something on rent. So a lot of the money is actually from gas. We spent a whopping $650 on gas in the month of March, which makes complete sense because we literally drove from DC to Florida, from Florida to DC, and DC back to Florida. 2 of those times with a literal U-Haul trailer connected to the back of the car, which of course lowers your gas mileage, etc. Another one is groceries, which is $480. And I think the reason for that is that we moved back to Florida. And when we did that, we got rid of a lot of essentials that I normally keep on hand. And I had to rebuy some of those once we moved into my husband's sister's house. Also, I have been cooking for my sister-in-law's family once a week. So that obviously is an added cost because I'm cooking for like 4 people 4 times a month now. As well as my sister actually had a baby, so we got some groceries, brought them over to her house, and cooked her whole family dinner, which that was like a 7-person dinner, so it was a lot of food. So that equated to a lot more in our grocery bill. In the true expenses category, there's really nothing interesting to see. It's just my usual subscriptions, some gifts, some personal care items, stuff for boba, things like that. Just for fun. So we spent $220 on dining out in March, which is actually not terrible now that I think about it, considering we were driving so much, but we really have not been eating out in Florida like at all. maybe once every 2 weeks, like way less than we did in DC, which is kind of surprising because I would think it would be easier for us to eat out now since we can like easily go through drive-thrus, but I have no idea. I think I'm just happier now, so I'm not like craving bad food all the time, which is a great plus. But we have a new category that I am spending more money in. I've had this category for a while, but couponing, I spent about $40 in. I had a hobby for couponing back when I lived in Florida in the past, and now that I'm back and I can do Publix deals, I've been couponing again. I won't get into all the logistics, I promise. You can go watch couponing videos if you're curious. But because of that, what happens a lot of times is I use cashback apps like Ibotta, Fetch Rewards, things like that. And because of that, it'll look like I spent $40, but next month I might get an Ibotta rebate for like $40. So in the end, it evens out, and I kind of want to make like a PayPal account for this to keep it separate. But either way, $40 for the amount of products I got. I don't have any pictures, but I got so much stuff. It would still be a great deal, but I know that I have like a $30 Ibotta rebate that I can request. So quality of life goals, I was right. The MCAT expenses were about $81. I honestly don't even know what that's for. Maybe it's his MCAT registration fee. I don't know. And then we have moving out expenses, which ended up being about $267, of course, plus the gas, but this is for the U-Haul, the movers, all of that stuff. And then under business expenses, you'll see that $1,305 charge for my laptop. That one still hurts. So now that you have seen my minuscule income of like $300 and our expenses at like over $3,000, I'm sure you can already guess what our change in net worth looks like. But as always, I'm going to show you guys the graph so you can see that our change in net worth from the end of February to the end of March was negative $3,215. Which is not great. I know it's not great. I do have some things hopefully coming up. Again, I've been doing a lot of freelance work. This month, I have already surpassed my income goal that I had set in my monthly reset video, if you guys watched that video. So I'm very grateful for that, especially because it's literally like April 7th. So we're 1 week in, and I know of money that I already have coming to me for the rest of the month. So that is all a positive, and I am definitely looking forward to replenishing some of our savings and feeling like, we're not broke, because right now we literally only have like $1,000 left in cash. So that's a little bit terrifying. I haven't had that low amount of cash in so long, and that's between me and my husband. So I know we both don't enjoy that feeling, and we definitely are going to need some more cash to move into our first place in Florida, which we're hoping we can do in early May, but it's starting to feel like that might not be possible. We're just going to have to wait and see. So that is pretty much all I have for you guys in today's video. That sums up all the monthly financial updates that I have, but definitely stay tuned for next month's update because it's going to be, again, completely different. We're going to have a whole new system for tracking our expenses and budget, as well as a lot more money coming in than we had last month. So I think it'll be a lot more interactive and fun to go through that with you guys. And I will be providing a template for my YNAB replacement that I create on Notion. So if you're interested in getting that, as well as learning how to automatically track your business expenses and calculate your quarterly taxes, then stay tuned for the next video. But if you want to get a feel for what my goals are for March so you can see what I mean when I say I'm definitely going to surpass those money goals, then you guys should check out this video next where I talk through everything that I have planned for the month of March in terms of my business and financial goals. But that is all I have for you guys in today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.